Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very glad you could join me for the video that we have for you today. So today, I'm going to tell you something that no other dealer, nobody is actually going to tell you, okay? And that is actually the power of proxy bids and also the power to absolutely decimate you. So let's get into it. So before we do, I will just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I spent a decent amount of money on some AI editing software and I just did not get the result that I wanted. I had a choice to either wait and find a software that is going to work, or choose to just lean into the fact that I have information that nobody else is going to tell you, okay? If we, after 50 to 75 videos, we pop off a little bit, we get a little bit of traction, then you can definitely see my filming environment drastically increase. But without further ado, let's get into it, okay? So a proxy bid, just to tell you and give you like some basic information, a proxy bid is basically something where you can go in at certain times before an auction and put like a max bid. Okay. When you put a proxy in, it's not super complicated. It's like, hey, you can put one bid in and like, that's it. Okay. So when it comes to deciding like what you're really going to put in on a car, we're going to get into that in a second. But that's essentially what the proxy bid allows you to do. It allows you to be more efficient. It allows you to be in the ring when you're actually in another ring for another car. Okay. So I have some rules when it comes to proxy bids, and I'll just tell you, I learned them all the hard way. Luckily I did good on most other things, so it never was a situation where it caused any problems. Okay, but I do have rules, and here they are. So if you're going to put a proxy bid on a car, I know it all sounds, or it may, depending on how I'm conveying it, it may sound like a very, very easy thing to do. However, there are some strict rules, meaning you have to have thoroughly evaluated this car, okay? And if you're a new car buyer, this is extremely important. This is something that you have to be able to reflect introspectively and be able to ask yourself, have I really, really, really driven the absolute fuck out of this car to know what I have? And if the answer is anything, or you even hesitate, then you shouldn't actually be putting a proxy in on it, okay? I'm just telling you, I'm trying to look out for you. So another thing is, you may not quite be in a position to do a Carfax like right away, but if you are going to put a proxy in on a car, you better damn well look at the Carfax, okay? There was definitely a situation that I witnessed, and it was a new car buyer, and he bought a Lexus RX 350. He got a really good deal on it. But I knew the whole time that on the Carfax, it had an odometer discrepancy on it. And what ended up happening was he got to a point where after he bought it, he didn't do his homework. Like, he wasn't ahead of the game. So after somebody brought it to his attention that it had an odometer discrepancy on it, he tried to arbitrate it. Well, guess what, buddy? The auction that you're buying through runs off of auto check, and it's not on the auto check. Okay. So that was a situation where somebody genuinely, like I'm telling you, somebody tried to kind of imitate what I was doing, and they didn't ask questions. I would have told them. Okay. It was on an RX 350 that was well out of our price range, well out of something that we would consider. And when you kind of have a good idea that somebody's not really an actual direct competitor to you, that's where I kind of decide to be a little bit more cordial with them. Okay. So, the third thing, and there's one more after this, but, I don't care if you bought 4 CRVs, the week before, and then you got like 2 or 3 that like you're trying to, acquire in like tomorrow's sale or in an upcoming sale, you better have some comps ran. You better know what the dealers around you have. You better know what the private sellers around you on Facebook Marketplace have, okay? Because things can change very, very quickly. I'm not playing. I know it sounds like a lot of hard work, but if you stay on top of things, then you will be ahead and you will know, okay? So the last one is knowing that the evaluation that you gave the vehicle is 100% correct. And I'm kind of circling back on this from the first one, but I did make a video about becoming too emotionally attached to a car. And what that means, just in short, is falling in love with a car before you can put your hands on it and drive it, okay? So that would be like my rules. So let's get into why a proxy bid will help you, okay? So just to reiterate, I was a professional buyer for a car dealer, and that sold 20 to 25 vehicles a month, and that is the exact amount that I was buying for them, okay? I was at Odessa, Chicago primarily, and at Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I did dip my toe in the mega Manheim, that is Manheim, Chicago, with 0 test drives. So the proxy bid situation is like a big psychological thing. If the people that you are bidding up against don't know that you actually represent, like a certain dealer or certain dealers, and you're just there in the ring, but you're not bidding, but you're watching. Sometimes if people don't know that they're bidding up against somebody that is right there in the ring, then they won't buy it. Sometimes people are actually really, really intimidated by online buyers, okay? And I'll do a video, later on the psychological aspect of how some buyers are affected by an online buyer, okay? Let's see here. So this is this next thing of why a proxy bid really helped me a lot, was when you are buying for like a handful of dealers, okay? It's really, really important that you can be in the ring on every single car without having to physically be in the ring, okay? So it really just helps you not miss out on cars. If you have any sort of context or experience in like what I'm talking about, it always happens, okay? Where sometimes a car that is a D34 will come up at as the same time as a A54, because Lance sometimes takes his time. Lance Schmid, great auctioneer, like one of the best. But the A lane is ran by Shane Ratliff, who is the all-time GOAT, and he definitely moves through his 250 cars he has to do normally every week pretty quick. So those are just kind of the things that like you need to try and like have some forethought on and try and foresee. You want to try and make sure that you're as prepared as possible for any certain sort of given situation. And one way that a proxy bid can do that is allowing you to be present without being physically present. So the third one here is actually going to be a combination of a lot, but the main premise of it is it's going to help you not overbid, okay? There is something in like, the way that I would buy cars, in the sense of where I had a max and I had an absolute max, okay? And the one thing that you really don't ever want to do is ever go past your absolute max. So if you put a proxy bid on a car, and situationally, it's a situation where you're just like, you know what? This is the absolute max I would give for this car, no matter what, okay? And so you just put your max proxy bid on it, okay? And then let's say you're not in the ring, or maybe you are in the ring, okay? But either way, whether you walk up on it happening or you are in the ring and you see it go way higher, okay, that really kind of helps control your maybe emotions in the sense of you're not going to spend more money for a car than you should. and I will do a very, very comprehensive video on why it always pays to not pay more for a car than your absolute max. So the last part of it, of why it helps, is if you put a proxy bid on a car, okay, and the day before you kind of notice that nobody else has been driving it. You don't see it ever coming down the test track. You never see anybody buy it. And it's just one of those where situationally the car did not get a lot of attention. Okay. And this is actually a situation that I leaned on when the primary dealer that I was working for we had sold a bunch of cars in a very little amount of time. And what I would do is I would actually say, hey, I'm going to put proxy bids on all these cars in Milwaukee. But when I wake up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in Milwaukee, I'm going to go do anything that I need to do at the auction. But even before the auction starts, I'm going to go and head to Odessa. Obviously, some experienced people would be like, why would you go to Odessa on Wednesday? Well, this is not something that they provide people right away. But after like 6 months, if you have a clean track record and it's proven that you put cars back on spot, you're not messing with cars, they may allow you to preview the cars a day before the preview day. And being that was my home auction, that was a big, big deal. All right. So at this point, we have gone over, if you're going to click off of this video, then the joke's on you. Because right here, right now, I'm going to tell you exactly, and I'm going to give you some real-time, maybe not some real-time, but some actual real-life experiences I had because I did not heed these warnings, okay? You're welcome. So, the bad. So, if you didn't follow the rules and you're not 110% sure about a car, I will just tell you that if you ever get like a pit in your stomach at any point when you're walking into the auction, you're at the auction, and it's before the proxy bid cutoff point, which what I mean, for example, is Odessa Chicago will start the auction at 9:30, but you have a chance to modify all your proxy bids all the way up until 8:59:59. Okay? So if you haven't actually really evaluated a car, you really shouldn't have a proxy bid on it. And if you put a proxy bid on a car that you actually think that like you thoroughly evaluated, but you really didn't, you're really gonna fuck yourself. And you're gonna fuck the dealer you're buying for. Okay? A proxy bid is only meant to be done under certain criteria when you are buying cars for another dealer, okay? Don't make an exception or you're gonna get fired. It's just as simple as that, okay? So I witnessed some situations where some guys tried to kind of be like me and they would put, they were like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to like, have my name be up there too, and have us just watch what's going on. Well, the joke was kind of on them. They didn't inspect their vehicles thoroughly, and they happened to be the same vehicles that I was on. So that's really a situation where if you don't do your homework and you don't follow the rules, you can get fucked really quick. So the last one that I'm going to talk about here is later developments. Okay, once you go to a auction a certain amount of times and you are a remotely nice person and professional, other buyers and dealers are going to talk to you. They're going to see you in the ring on some cars that they buy too. And there's a 50-50 situation to this, and what I'm getting at is what's called later developments. Okay? So you could buy, here's the situation when I talk about where a later development could be negative. And it's a situation where you were the first one to a certain vehicle, okay? And it drove great for you, but after it was warmed up, somebody else drove it and there was a transmission issue. Okay? Some transmissions will act just fine for like the first 2 minutes after you start them up, but then after that, they will start slipping like you know what. Okay? So later developments, if this is obviously a scenario where, like, I'm talking about you're past the proxy release point where you could release your proxy, which is 8:59:59 at Odessa, which is a scenario that we're talking about. Okay, you talk to somebody after 8:59:59 in the morning, and you already have a proxy bid in on a car, and they tell you that the transmission is SOL. It is Audi. Okay. In that situation, there is nothing that you can do. But what you want to do in that situation is try and find the buyer that is bidding the most on that car and see if you can't bid on him and push him out of where your proxy absolute max is. So, okay, guys, I know I went over a lot. It's definitely the longest video that I've had, but it's definitely a very, very important subject. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you gained anything from it at all, okay, please like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, till the next video, I hope you guys are doing well. All right, see ya.